I'll do now is that we'll now move on to the fireside chat, for which I would like to invite Ujjwal and Sankalp. So Ujjwal is associate partner at Redshare. Ujjwal leads benchmarks vertical at Redshare as well. Prior to his second stint at Redshare, he's worked at a fintech startup in DeFi, and before that, co-founded a startup called LabStreet. And we're joined with Sankalp Mehrotra. He's a VP at Flipkart. Sankalp is a digital business leader with over 15 years of experience across APAC. He's orchestrated the rise of Flipkart ads to one of the leading ad platforms in India in a very short time. He's responsible for overall revenue, business strategy, business development, marketing, ad relations, ops, hiring at Flipkart ads. Previously, he was executive director for Southeast Asia at Affle, which is a Singapore headquartered mobile audience as a service platform for marketers and publishers. So over to you, Ujjwal and Sankalp for the fireside chat.
Thanks, Abhishek. Hey, Sankalp. Good to meet here again. So I'll probably just get this rolling. Yeah, I can see you now, Sankalp. Great. Hey. So yeah, I generally like talking about this space, which is more entertaining and more fun than some of the other dry sectors that we look at. So I think as Abhishek mentioned, I think digital ads is something which has been evolving into multiple forms in multiple ways, and it's around like $3 to $4 billion right now, with a large chunk coming from Google and Facebook, but something which has been growing pretty quickly, right? And so there are multiple forms in which it is evolving, right? So one of them being product e-commerce, which obviously, Sankalp, you have been doing a lot of work around, and which has grown really, really quickly in the last few years. The other, which the newer areas where we look at is short form, of course, which we think, given the amount of time people are spending watching some of these videos, is going to go up, right? So, Sankalp, what do you think? Like, how do you see some of these forms evolving, and how are you sort of looking at it? Great to understand as well.
Well, first and foremost, great presentation. I think a lot of key insights came out of that. So, tremendous work done by the team in putting this. I'll just take a step back. Anytime and every time we think about digital advertising, it's also important just to think of some factors which are really propelling this, right? And a lot of these are known, but very quickly, we know the online population is growing, right? Estimates are anywhere between 500 to 600 million, set to reach a billion, by 2030. My hypothesis is it'll happen much sooner than that, right? Second is affordable data and handsets, among the lowest data prices in the world. I think an important factor is that Gen Z is now really becoming, so to say, the key consuming segment. So anyone born in 95 or thereabouts, right, will be a part of the key consuming segment now. And digital is not a medium that they need to adapt. I mean, they were born with it, right? So, and a lot of their consumption is actually migrating to digital platforms. And the fourth point is rising incomes, right? How middle class households are rising, 150 million in, let's say, 2018, set to grow to about 300 million by 2030. So, all of these really are, let's say, the ingredients that are propelling or really pushing forward the kind of growth that we've seen. And I think you did a great job in the opportunity sizing. For once, I saw numbers that are more synchronous and not really depressed. Typically on digital advertising, you see numbers which are typically depressed, right? I think your estimate is kind of bang on.
Yeah, thanks. So I think, and I think I agree with a lot of things you mentioned. And obviously, I think we are very bullish on the opportunity. And there is one question that I think someone from the audience asked, which I think is really on point, that, if we are saying that this is how much the opportunity is and this is how this is going to grow, but does that mean that there are going to be so many ads and eventually people will just stop watching a lot of those ads, right? Which has also happened in some form on TV, right? So we tend to sort of switch channels when some ads come. And I think my view on that was that the way digital operates is very different from some of the other media, and the way we have seen ads evolve I think so, if we look at the first generation of ads, which were banner ads, right? And from there on, it became more relevant to the search. From there on, we started seeing those ads in our Facebook feeds. And more ads are becoming a part of the content and the use case itself, right? So product e-commerce is a great example where when I'm trying to search for, any product, I start seeing an ad which is very relevant to me, right? And then even in the short form video, right? So I tend to scroll a lot of these short form videos and a lot of these apps a lot of time. And I think the ads that we see are not like ads themselves, but a lot more interactive in nature. And I think the way this will continue to evolve, I think the ads will just continue to keep becoming more relevant. And hence you will not probably see them as ads, right? So what do you think on that?
Ujjwal, I think bang on. So if I were to just re-articulate what you said, two key pillars, right? One is relevancy of communication, right? I mean, how is it that you build engines that ensure that any communication that you're having with the customer is more relevant, right? That's part one. B is native experiences where you're blending a lot of what you communicate with the customer within the content that a consumer is going through, right? So I mean, if I were to talk a little about what is happening on commerce platforms, right? Typically, you can think of discovery via three ways, right? I mean, users will either search for you, or there'll be some recommendations which are thrown at you, or there'll be some merchandising that users are going to see. Right now, advertising is also something that blends seamlessly into the merchandising experience, right? So it allows users, let's say, great products to be discovered. And as they move deeper into the funnel, when they're searching, let's say you're searching for running shoes, bringing a relevant ad actually only adds to the experience versus it being something that is detrimental to the customer experience. So I think there are multiple inorganic opportunities that are available across platforms, across different parts of the funnel. And what really is happening is the relevancy of all of this communication and blending it in a manner whereby it adds to the customer is only improving. So I think those are some changes that are happening, and all platforms are conscious of ensuring that customer experience guardrails need to be taken care of. It will never be a situation where you're inundating the customer with so much of ads that they miss out on the key reason why they were coming to the destination in the first place.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think, and this is relatively easier to do in digital, where, as the customer base grows, you have a lot more slots where you can place those ads, right? Compared to, let's say, a more static form of media where that doesn't really happen, right? And so I think, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I think also just cutting that opportunity by by a tier two sort of audience, right? So when we look at metro, tier one, tier two audience, right? I think, and we have done this. We have looked at this multiple times, where what we realize is that in the tier two plus, obviously a lot of that opportunity is not English but in vernacular languages, right? And there was one of the slides which I think Abhishek has shown, which shows that how short form has really just bypassed that part by being very language relevant in the initial stages itself, right? Which is something that I think e-commerce was, it was a bit of a challenge earlier in e-commerce, which has now been solved very well, right? So how do you look at that vernacular versus English debate on the digital advertising?
No, I don't think there's any debate. If you look at the next 200, 300 million customers who are going to come online, the three V's, as all of us keep talking about, which is video, voice, and vernacular, are going to be key, right? So I think innovations will keep on happening on the supply side. Many companies, including us, are working hard at ensuring a very seamless kind of a transition for new users, right? And I think all three of them, will play, whether it is vernacular, like we are available now in 11 languages, right? I mean, that really is to ensure that anyone and everyone can start to come onto the platform and start transacting, in a very seamless kind of a fashion. Similarly, I would stress on the importance of voice and video also. I think all three of them will continue to play a part. Also, what will happen is that as more and more of these users come online, right, who are coming via vernacular, voice, etc., you will see a lot more of native ad experiences, which become a part of this journey. On voice, you will definitely see it. On vernacular, you will see an explosion, so to say, of a lot of regional advertising, if I may so put it, or advertising in a lot of native languages. So I think all of that is also something that will start to grow from here.
So just to add here, Sankalp, do you see any difference in ROIs from vernacular versus English, or English versus non-English Indian languages? Do you see any difference in the ROI for the advertiser, or the way let's say you look at it as a platform?
Not really. On the contrary, I think with relevant communication, eventually you might see too early to say, in terms of ROI differences, etc. But largely, as long as what you're showing to the customer is relevant to the customer, the ROI benchmarks, etc., I think should hold. So and for the brand, it becomes only, how should I put it? It becomes uh, the higher the relevancy, the better the engagement would be eventually, right? So, which essentially means that your ROI benchmarks continue to be similar. So, maybe with time, what we'll see is that they tend to perform better. Too early to say.
Yeah, makes sense. So I'll probably just switch to a slightly different part of the discussion, which was more around the creator side of things, right? And I mean, so what we are seeing here is a completely new form of you can call it gig economy, you can call it micro entrepreneurs who are emerging and who are really just making a decent living out of creating content on multiple channels, right? It started with YouTube, then we saw a lot of it happening on Instagram, and now I think the platform of choice today looks like short form video, right? And I think and while it seems fairly obvious today, I think there is a lot of problem solving which has happened by the short form video platforms, right? There is a lot of money which has been spent to give them the right kind of tools, to give them the right kind of education to make this large creator base happening, right? So today, they have a good good elite someone with, let's say, more than a million odd followers can earn anywhere from 1 to 5 lakhs a month on some of these platforms, right? And so do you have, and I know that this is probably something which as Flipkart you guys, let's say, have not looked at that closely, but is there some view you have built on how this is something which is going to emerge, and what form and shape this is going to take?
Maybe I'll just take a step back, right, and look at the larger ecosystem. I think broadly the point that you made, just reiterating that, right, in terms of how there will be some parts within digital that are going to see disproportionate growth, right? So, for example, if you look at the total ads, okay, let's say anywhere between $3 to $3.5 billion at this point of time, it will continue to grow at a figure of about 30%, right? So, I mean, that is something that will continue to grow, which means that by 2025, our market would be anywhere between 12 to 14 billion kind of size. Pockets that are likely to grow disproportionately higher than even this 30%, again, it was something that was pointed out, would be, let's say, the product commerce pieces and maybe short form. Product commerce largely for a reason that users' search behavior itself is changing, right? I mean, your journeys today now begin on commerce platforms versus you searching on a horizontal. You'll go to a product platform and begin your journey, and you obviously can conclude your journey. In the US, close to 70% of product already migrated to commerce platforms. In India, I think the number might be anywhere between 25 to 30%, set to grow to about 50%, right? So as users keep on migrating, so will the brands, right? So that really, if I were to think of a singular factor that is going to propel this growth forward, would be this kind of user migration itself that is happening from the beginning of the journey to the conclusion, right? Now, when you think of short form, the key reason would be the quantum being spent with it, right? So, and as users keep on spending more and more time, I think there was a share of time versus a share of wallet kind of a slide, right? I mean, there would be some congruence that will start to happen with the quantum of time that is being spent on these platforms and kind of advertising investments that will come on the platform. I think there will still be a few challenges in terms of, let's say the kind of content which is available, uh, uh, brand safety, things like those. I think those will be the kind of challenges. But I think no disputing that the opportunity itself would be fairly substantial as long as we are able to answer questions on brand safety, what kind of content, where does a brand exactly appear and all.
No, that absolutely makes sense, and I think brand safety is something which, and we have talked a lot about the brand safety aspect of it earlier, right? So where a lot of platforms saw a lot of issues around the user generated content, right? And I think, but there is a natural evolution that has taken place where obviously as platforms as well, what we have seen is a very strong tech intervention to be able to filter out inflammatory content. In fact, just looking at the original versus copied content, right? So we used to see almost 35% of content being from a different source, right? So, some content coming from TikTok, some content coming from Instagram, from, downloaded from other foreign websites, foreign platforms and being displayed here. And I think, and this is like in just maybe like last 8 to 10 months. And today that stands at, I think, less than 10% of what that copied content looks like, right? And inflammatory content is literally being taken out in seconds on these platforms. So I think I agree, right? So that natural evolution has taken place in terms of brand safety. And I think today, one of the things, at least, when we speak to brands, I think one thing which comes up a lot of times is, really being able to just tie up this space and trying to really understand, what is the real scale of some of these platforms and who is really the winner and like what kind of segmentation is there. I think that's one challenge that we tend to try and solve through this event as well, right? And this is something I think which once we start seeing more knowledge around this space, I think brands will start getting a better sense on who is positioned how and at what scale, right?
Yeah,
So
to call out winners or I think it's a space which is just about starting really. I mean, we're seeing the happen as we talk. But yeah, I think in time it will become clearer in terms of leaders and levels, but I guess too early at this point in time.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think, and I mean, just looking at the numbers that Abhishek was also projecting, right, where we are saying around 650 million MAU in 5 years, right? And, that's 3x of where we are today. So completely agree that there is a very large opportunity ahead. And interestingly, I think all of the players that are there in this space are very well capitalized. So I think we are there to see a longer competition start playing out in this space, a more longer term. So yeah, I think on just shifting to the consumer view, and I'm sort of mindful of the time as well that we have. So shifting to the consumer view, maybe just as a consumer or as a neutral observer, what would you have built any view on what is it that could have that can make the barriers come down for the users, right? So being the kind of space it is, it bypasses some of the natural barriers that we have seen in the past, right? So the language barrier gets passed on because it's a video format, right? The literacy or the customer, how mature the customer is, right? So a lot of those barriers get bypassed naturally, right? Are there other areas that you see, are there other barriers that you see that this needs to sort of come down, that need to come down for this space to reach from, let's say, 220 odd million MAU to 670 million MAU in the next 5 years?
Recommendations might be one thing, right? Where relevancy of So how do you ensure that more and more time spent is happening, not just with the first content that you engage with, but the stream of the content that a user gets to see, right? So I think making your records sharper and sharper would be one key dimension. As long as users find interest in the content that they are browsing in, they about their time. So if I have to really talk only one dimension in addition to what you've already mentioned, I would say Reco would be it.
I agree, right? That's bang on. And I think personalization, I mean, we call, some form of personalization, and we look at it in multiple forms. And again, something that we have seen improving, and with a lot of tech being used in the form of machine learning, in the form of training for AI data sets. I think something that is bound to go up from here. So I think we will just take last 5 minutes to maybe take up a couple of questions and try and answer them. And Abhishek, maybe you can also be a part of that. So let me just read out some of those questions. Right, so one says that, do you think e-commerce advertising will eat into Google and FB's share of digital ad market? As nowadays people tend to search for a product on Amazon or Flipkart first rather than Google. And I think this is probably right in your wheelhouse, Sankalp.
Yeah, I mean, see, with the kind of growth that is happening across, there will be a certain amount of migration that might happen. But let me just put it this way that the two platforms that you're talking about are fairly substantial in terms of the kind of mouse they have, right? So there will definitely be some migration that will happen, but there will always be more people who are consuming content than shopping, right? So maybe that is the nuance that needs, that one needs to be aware of. But as the person who's asking the question has said, as more and more product queries migrate, so will the business. We definitely see some kind of share shift happening.
Got it. So we will take a couple of other questions as well. And I'm also, between me and Abhishek, we're also happy to answer some of these. So one of it is, the largest areas in short form are cooking, health and fitness, and electronic gadgets. What do you think are some of the other themes which will gain more traction in short form? Abhishek, would you want to talk about this one?
Right. So I think globally what we've seen is, starting from entertainment, this has sort of ventured into many endless possibilities. I think we're now seeing anything from investing advice in 1 minute to hot takes on different topics, etc. I think this is something that which will sort of evolve organically. So difficult to comment right now, but essentially anyone who can find a niche audience to engage with, be it let's say in short form, or maybe then sort of venturing out to a newsletter or someone, how we have seen sort of things pan out in the West. Uh, that might be very much the course that it happens in India as well. But I think this is something that should happen organically. I think difficult to comment at this time. This is the one that would take up the most.
And just to add to what Abhishek mentioned, right? So the specific slide that you're likely referring to mentioned how the number of posts per creator has increased, or what are the number of posts that each creator is putting in. If you look at some of the large videos that gain larger popularity, right, or larger virality, a lot of them would be in the fun, comedy, dance and music kind of genre. And the other one that we have seen grow, which is more niche, is on the education side, right? And a lot of different influencers use different forms of English education, specific education in let's say tips and tricks, right, which are like very small 10 to 15-second video, but just give you a quick view on some of the things worth learning, right? So those are some of the other areas which also gain a lot of traction. Right. So I think we are mostly out of time. So first of all, Sankalp, thank you so much for spending time with us.